Hello, Resurrection. It's September the 8th, Wednesday, and it's a big week at the Resurrection. Some of you have heard me talk about the gospel of the persistent widow before. It's one of my favorite stories, and I often call it the gospel of the persistent copy lady, because we have a contract with a copier company here at the church. They provide a copier for us, nicer than anything we could ever afford, and we pay. We lease that machine. We pay them a little bit for it every month, and then every few years they'll bring us a new one. They'll charge us a little bit more, right? It's how that works. For a little bit better machine, we'll go again. And I dread replacing the copy machine. I don't like it. I try to string it out as long as I possibly can. But our lady at the copy company, she calls and she calls and she calls and she calls and she calls. And I try to avoid her. I try to avoid her. I don't like to spend money. I'm just as chintzy as I can be. I know she's going to talk me into a different copy machine, and I always say, nope, I'm not talking to the copy lady. And after she calls about 3 million times, we end up talking to the copy lady. Today was Copy Lady Day, and once again, as it happens every single time she comes here, I remember what a nice lady she is. She's usually got a pretty good deal. She talks me into a new copier. It doesn't cost me any more money, if maybe just a hair more money, but not. It doesn't cost us much more money. This time, it's actually costing us less, and our new copier will be here next week. So you'll have to come by and see it. But you know what Jesus told the persistent widow? He said, "If you will go away and leave me alone, I will give to you what you're asking for." Now, that's not exactly what he said. What he actually says is, "You have pestered me so much that I realize that you have great faith." That's what he says. And it reminds us that we're never pestering God when we keep on and keep on and keep on with him. In fact, he seems to like it when we pester him just a little bit. You remember, his very own people are named the people who strive against God, or the people who wrestle with God. And he actually kind of likes that. He likes for us to wrestle with him a little bit, to be persistent in our conversations with him. He likes that. He loves to hear from us. And I have pestered and pestered and pestered some folks in our parish, wanting them to help us with Christian education. And lo and behold, I have gotten everything I've ever asked for. On this coming Sunday, we will be rolling out. We'll begin our new program year, if you can believe it. We're headed right into the fall already, and we have some of the best Christian formation lined up I've ever seen. If you were here last Sunday and came to meet in the middle, if you didn't, you missed a great time. It was a good breakfast. And then we gave just a few minutes of a teaser of each of the Sunday school classes coming up starting next week. And I said it at the time, and I'll say it again, that I don't know another parish the size of ours that can pull off the Christian formation that we're pulling off here during the year. We have got 7 of the most outstanding classes I can imagine, and it's because the people that I have been pestering and pestering for years now have really just come into their own in teaching their classes, and I'm so excited to talk about them this morning. So next Sunday, every age there will be something for everybody starting next week. Elizabeth Nash and Susan Bledsoe are both going to run an Atria. So we'll have 2 atrium running for Catechesis of the Good Shepherd. And that starts at 3 years old and potty trained and goes up through the 5th grade. We divide them out, and we do that very liturgical, very Episcopalian Catechesis of the Good Shepherd that has absolutely changed lives for children all along the way. And many of them who've grown up with it will tell you that. I have a good friend who is a priest, a good priest too, and he'll tell you that the reason he's a priest is because of the training that he got with Catechesis of the Good Shepherd at his Episcopal church in Murfreesboro. So those are ready to roll. The kids already know what they're doing in Catechesis of the Good Shepherd. It's woven into who they are, and they're all looking forward to it, ready to come back. Our youth group will be meeting, of course, on Sunday mornings for prime time, and prime time is the meeting that they have during the week that focuses on their souls, that focuses on their minds and their souls and their relationship with Jesus. Whereas Wednesday nights focuses on relationship building and their relationships with each other as it relates to Jesus. So they'll be in their Bibles, but they'll be watching some good videos and talking through some easy topics and some difficult topics, and just seeing where the Holy Spirit leads them. And it's going to be a good time for them together. Monica Faltneson, who is a superstar, is continuing her. We used to call it the Moms class. I think now we're calling it the Not Just for Moms class. And the Not Just for Moms class, they have become so close that they insist that they keep that class going, and I am all for that, completely in favor of it. It's wide open to anyone who wants to join, and they are walking through a really good study right now called Jesus and Women, and they're all excited about that. Pat Smith is also leading a class that I think we're calling it a women's class, but I don't think that it necessarily has to be a women's class. We've just kind of assumed that it would be, because they're walking through a book called 50 Women That Every Christian Should Know. But as I go through and read this book, I think it's as interesting as it can be. I don't think it has to be just a women's class. They're going to be talking about everybody from St. Teresa all the way to Mahalia Jackson and everybody in between. It's a really, really good book, good study, and they're looking forward to that. Byron Faltneson is continuing his class, and it's one of the most interesting concepts of a Sunday school class that I've ever heard. They call it God's Fellow Workers, but it's honestly an international Sunday school class. It is set up through Zoom, so you can meet here or you can Zoom, but of course you're already going to be here for church anyway, so you might as well sit in with Byron while he does it. And Byron's got friends and family in the Bahamas that come in, and people from all over the place come in for that Bible study. And it's a deeper dive into the lectionary, the readings for that Sunday. Byron goes into those in much more depth than we can always hit them in a 12-minute sermon. So it's a great class. And then the last of the classes that we're offering is one that I am particularly excited about. I am team teaching that with Brian Millis and with Dudson Bledsoe, and we're calling it Christian Men. And it's based on the premise that men need a cohort or a band of brothers to do this thing that we call church. That there are certain things that are okay for men, for Christian men, and certain things that are not okay for Christian men. And for us to sort those out and live into the life that Jesus requires of us, it takes some help. It takes a brotherhood to do that. It's not group therapy. It's not group confession. I don't like that whole forced sharing thing. That's not what it is. It's just a group of men who come together and say, this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're not going to do. Now, don't get it confused with the men's group. It isn't the men's group. It's just a class. But it's a class that I think we need, that all Christian men need. I need it in my life, and the men of the parish need it in their life as well. So this all rolls out this Sunday. It's good stuff. I'm looking forward to it. It will, of course, happen in between the two services. It will not happen on the first Sundays, because on the first Sundays, you'll remember, the first Sundays of the month, we always do meet in the middle, where we have breakfast together and come together as a family to fellowship in between the two services. But every other Sunday at 9:30, Pat, 9:15 or 9:30? 9:15. See, you always have to have a Pat. At 9:15, we'll begin our Christian formation on Sunday mornings. You'll come from the 8 o'clock service, or then you'll go on to the 10:30 service. And one thing we promised we would do this year is, no matter what happened with COVID, is that we would keep our foot on the gas. We're not going to let up. We're going to keep going. And this is how we do that and it's going to be a good year. I'm excited about it. I will see you Sunday.